Hi everyone, my name is Olugbenga Olubanjo, and you can call me Olu for short. I build the often parts by creating Reeddi, a clean tech, a climate tech company that provides clean and reliable electricity to individuals and businesses in energy poor communities. I do this because I myself have lived the first 24 years of my life struggling with reliable electricity, and I feel I'm obliged to, because of those living through the pain of lack of electricity. I have enough experience and resources to um, provide electricity to the people that I care most about, which is a lot of over 100 million Nigerians right now that struggle with one form of electricity or the other.
Welcome back to the Beat the Often Path podcast. I'm your host, Ross Palmer. Joining us today is Olugbenga Olubanjo, the founder and CEO of Reeddi, a Nigerian startup that seeks to bring power to the 70 plus million Nigerians who do not have reliable access. Over 600 million people in Africa lack access to reliable power, but how do we solve this problem and the growing digital divide? Well, Olugbenga created the Reeddi Capsule, a rechargeable power bank that people can rent for just 50 cents per day. Olu has already impacted thousands of people with his work, and his product was featured in the 100 Best Inventions of 2021 by Time. This is a remarkable tale of taking matters into your own hands. So here's Olugbenga Olubanjo of Reeddi. Well, first of all, I have to say welcome to the show, but thank you very much for joining me. And your name is obviously way cooler than my name could ever hope to be, so I'm very jealous. How do you pronounce your first name again for the audience?
Just Olugbenga.
Olugbenga. That's so awesome. Yeah, my name is comparatively incredibly boring, so we're gonna go with yours. That's why you're here. You're here to make this more entertaining and more fun. So you have a really cool story, and it's based on a very serious point. So Nigeria is, if I'm not mistaken, one of the countries that has the least access to electricity in general in the world. Sometimes with tens of millions, like did you say near 100 million people don't have access to electricity in Nigeria?
Yeah, over 100 million people live in one form of energy poverty or the other. The record is over 70 million people have no access to electricity, and another 70 million are connected to the grid but they struggle with reliable electricity, meaning they have less than 4 hours of electricity every day.
Oh my goodness. So, okay, you yourself, you've gone to school in Toronto, you've traveled around the world, I think, right? So how did you come up with this concept that you have, and how did you get involved back in your local community?
Yeah, my story is very accidental. So it's I would say
I like
energy
that.
discovery as opposed to me discovering energy. It's so I like I said I spent the first and 4 years of my life in Nigeria. I did my degree in Nigeria engineering at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. I had a I had a distinction then in engineering and immediately got a scholarship into University of Toronto. But prior to that, I've always struggled with live electricity, one form of way or the other. Where I lived, where I grew up, the challenge has always been reliable electricity for the first 24 years. When I was in my second year, I couldn't go home for roughly 2 years because the where my parents lived, there was no electricity for a whole 2 years. There is zero. So everybody
Wow.
basically lived on diesel generator, and everybody was using. And when I was growing up as well, we had this lantern that my parents lived. We were just four kids. My parents gave us like everybody has their own lantern to do their assignments. I call those small kerosene lantern. So I've lived that life, which is the normal for me. So when I left Nigeria to Toronto, and the first time in my life I had access to 24/7 electricity, and my productivity quadruple. And beside that, I talk to my mom every time. She calls me every week, and we kind of talk. And sometimes when I talk to her phone goes off, and she's like, "Oh," then we kind of catch up the next day. She tells me, "Oh, sorry, there was no power," and all those kind of stuff. And I asked her, "Mommy, why are you not exploring some of these solutions that exist?" And I was like, "Solutions that exist were not designed in such a way that it sustainably solve the people's problem." What I mean by that is that these solutions are not doesn't grow with the people, and majority of people find it very very expensive and very expensive to access. So I felt, I mean, I'm in Toronto now. I have this access to electricity. I have a little bit of more engineering background, given the fact that I've studied engineering before. I am more doing my master's degree right now. And I have a little bit of street understanding of entrepreneurship, given the fact that I ran a business all through my undergrad in school. So combining those together, I was like, I'm going to try to tackle this problem because it's a problem that if I don't solve it, it's going to solve it. I've lived the pain. Why not me? And I just threw myself into it. And that was how Reeddi began. It was we started with thinking about putting solar panels on umbrellas because there's a lot of sun in Nigeria. Then we observed that product is not going to scale. Then I was taking my bath one day and I was like, why not make it as simple as just why not make a system as simple as this liquid soap container, something that is just easy for you to move around. They can always use it anywhere. They can return it anywhere. And more importantly, think about the business model that allows people to easily access it. And that's why we have to innovate on the technology side when it comes to designing the capsule, and also innovate on the business model side when we have to do rental, meaning that people could access electricity irrespective of their socioeconomic background. You will recall in Nigeria, there's majority of people in Africa live on less than $4 per day, meaning that we can't build a system that costs like $300 or $400 for them to buy. So my own thinking was that I need to build quality, but more importantly, besides building quality, I also need to make it very affordable. And that was how Reeddi Capsule come into play. That was how we started using the rental model, which allows people to, with just 50 cents, people could access electricity on the go. So what we did was that we leveraged on these local business owners, local stores, so distribute the Reeddi capsule because these guys exist already and people just go to them to rent capsules. They make money, we make money, the customer get access to electricity, and we keep that cycle rolling. It's a very, very amazing model, and we've been optimizing it ever since. I started in 2019 full time. We currently have over 1,500 Asana businesses now, and we're excited about even moving more deeper into more communities and individuals, more communities, and making more impact in the coming year. So it's really a very fascinating experience.
But it speaks to the idea of a lot of people don't understand how these fundamental things have such a huge impact, right? Electricity, water, food, these things that are so essential that many of us who don't live in areas like that are very grateful for. We take them for granted. And you must have witnessed that yourself, even in Canada, people who are just never, ever thought about a single day in their life when they didn't have electricity. If we get a blackout for 1 hour, it's an emergency. What are we going to do? Imagine going your whole life and how that would compound. Obviously, we couldn't be doing this without electricity, without internet, without all of this infrastructure stuff that makes basically being a part of the modern world possible. Yes. So I think it's an incredibly noble thing that you've done to take this on your shoulders and to say, how can I do this? So describe the rental model. It's 50 cents a day, if I'm not mistaken, right? And describe how you came up with that product and that model.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ross. So yes, I agree with you. There's a lot of people. It's a lot of people that, even in Nigeria, that don't understand how the gravity of this problem. But thank God, sometimes God take you through this journey sometimes to see more broadly and obviously to offer a solution. So for me, the rental model came to be when I was thinking through the people I really care about and who should access, who are my target market for this solution. So the solution I was building, I knew that most of the 70 million Nigerians right now that have no access to electricity, majority of them are living on less than $3 per day. Majority of them. So the question is that any solution that we are going to build must be insanely affordable. It can't be just affordable. It can't be, and it also must be easy for them to access. So the question is that how will I build a very quality system, which is quite expensive, and make it also equally very affordable to these people? So the selling cost of Reeddi capsules is around $300 if you want to sell outrightly. But the question is that the moment you say you want to sell it, majority 70 million or more than 100 million people won't even have access to it because more than 50% of Nigerians live on less than $4 a day. So automatically that means that you've cut off the main people that really needs this. And for me, it was a lot of thinking around, okay, how do we do this? How do we make it work? Should it be rental? Should it be sales? Then I'm thinking about the way bike renting work. I was like, okay, we can actually do something around rental. Then the next question was that, how do we secure the infrastructure?
That's incredible. Well, of course. So somebody who rents this thing for 50 cents, how long do they get it for 24 hours? And what do they typically do with it?
Yeah, so they get it for 24 hours. So it's just for you get it for a day. And the thinking around that is that most people, especially people that work and people that like majority of people that rent it are teachers, farmers, traders. They have a kind of like lifestyle where they start their day in the morning, they go to this bus station, they take a bus, then they go back home, they come back home around 6 a.m. or they come back around 6 p.m. So there's this, you can actually model their way of life even through their paths. So what happens is that when they go in the morning, they pick up the capsule at the rental station. They drop the one that depleted out in the other day. Then they pick it up to the 24 hours start, let's say around like 8 a.m. for most. And they go to their store with the capsule. They use it in their store. They use it for to meet up their daily energy needs, which involves powering their phones, powering laptops, powering like fans, TVs, basically basic devices that you need to just keep life going, radios, basically all the simple devices. So they use it to power that, and when they are coming back in the evening, when they are coming back in the evening, they take the capsule home. They use it to power their lightning and all those kind of stuff at home. Then the next morning, they are dropping it off at the ambassador station and picking a new one entirely, a fully charged one. So the ambassadors in turn just go to our own.
So along those lines, do you feel that you've been able to make a positive impact in the community at this point? Do you feel that you're making a difference with what you're doing?
Oh yes, yes. We get testimonials every single time, at least once a week, about the value of our systems, especially as more people discover our system. I mean, what is even happening to us right now is that we are struggling to meet demands. Based on like because we are currently in just southwest Nigeria, so there's a lot of people that even need a system where we are not existing. So we get those calls, we get people reach out to us every time. Like right now, we're operating in Nigeria alone, and we've got people reach out to us from over 7 African countries about like our systems, including even Southeast Asia. So there's a lot of like we see a lot of impact when it comes to like what we are, the value that we're adding, and we've continued to also like try to scale those impacts from being able to like being able to be the source of like that power that kind of like powers people's jobs, people's like software engineers that have like remote jobs. They're able to like connect to the Reeddi capsules and get those jobs done. Or like a farmer or a student is able to like do the assignment with Reeddi capsule. They see an health worker that are able to like power maternity centers with Reeddi capsules. So there's a lot of things that we've been able to do. We have pharmacy stores that run the Reeddi capsule right now.
It's good for them to be aware of how fortunate they are and to not take these things for granted like you must have witnessed in Canada. Even the people who have nothing to do with it, it's good to just generally be aware of that. But for still others, this is a good kind of mission that a lot of people can get behind. And I hope that other people, as they become aware of your mission, get behind it and recognize, okay, this is important and this is something that we need to do, because I got a feeling that a lot of great things are going to come from electrifying. Well, let's start with the 70 million people in Nigeria, but then moving on to the rest of Africa. It's going to be a lot of new brains coming into the system, and that's what we need. So I appreciate you taking the time, sir. We've had a lot of technical difficulties, but it only underlies the point of why we're here and what we're talking about. We're trying to build that infrastructure, and I want to let you close this episode out. So any final words, piece of advice, thoughts you want to share, or anything you want to promote, please help us close it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much, but I would say again, thank you so much for having me.
Of
And more
course.
importantly, for us, we are trying to make the future ready. And I mean, anybody out there, if any way you want to support us, feel free to reach out. We have like our website is open, www.reeddi.com, or you can send an email to us. hello@reeddi.com. Reeddi is spelled Reeddi, so REEDDI.com. And I mean, for us, we are working our best to make the future in our own little way. You can obviously see what we are doing across like our newsletter, across our social media platforms, and you can always like chat and see what we are doing. We're excited about what we are doing, and we're just pushing that forward. So again, thank you, Rose, for telling our stories and for like allowing us like tell our stories to the world, giving us the platform to tell our stories to the world. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, it's a pleasure. The pleasure is actually all mine, Olu. It's an honor to have met you. Your energy is palpable. I love what you've done. Thank you again. And with that, the official podcast is over.